Hey guys, welcome. It is time for another episode of our 10-year anniversary series. And this one I have been really excited to share with you because today on the podcast, you're going to get to meet Lindsay Heyneman, the founder and owner of Lettie Boutique. And in this episode, she is going to drop a ton of knowledge bombs and talk about the evolution of her business in a way that I think so many of us can learn from, whether we're new or we're scaling or we've been around the block for a while. Lindsay's going to talk about what it took to build a thriving online community for Lettie, how she's even taken a great group of her customers and done meetups at Disneyland together. We're also going to talk about Lindsay's life changes and what it meant for her to build a thriving online business in a warehouse that actually have to move across the country for her husband's education and how she managed to do both at the same time. All the way up into now, Lindsay building her first brick-and-mortar location for her business. Guys, this is an episode that is packed full of ideas. And when you get to meet Lindsay, I've had the opportunity to meet her in person a number of times. She is one of the most kind, genuine, just positive, and someone who is such a bright ray of light type of people. I'm just so pumped for you to meet her because you are going to feel her warmth come through this episode. So without any further ado, meet my friend Lindsay Heyneman, the founder of Lettie Boutique. Let's talk about your business, strategy, and the juicy details of what actually works, from mainstream fashion to fashion on Main Street, and the entire ecosystem behind it. How do we scale your company and do it with the balance and the happiness that we all seek? Let's hear from those insiders, experts, and strategists that actually make it happen. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Lindsay, it has been forever since I've gotten to see you. So good to see you. So good to have you on the show and to get to catch up. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
We were just catching up before we started to record, and I think we haven't seen each other since like before the world went crazy, before like all your moving and everything took place. So I love seeing you back face to face. We've got a lot to talk about today.
Yes, many fun things.
So many fun things. I love what you've built because I think whether you are an established boutique owner or whether you're a brand new boutique owner, you're going to learn a lot from today's conversation. I think there's really going to be something for everybody today because the message that you have to share is really like the cord that runs through everyone's business here. So I can't wait to dive into that. Let's start here. Go back to the beginning for me. We'll set the stage. How did you start? Why did you start? Where did you start?
I was barely 18 years old in my Utah State college dorm room. It was one pack of back then it was like the cutest shirt you've ever seen, you know? And now I'm like,
it was probably Chevron.
Yep, 100% Chevron. And I come from an entrepreneurial family, and that first year of college, trying to figure it all out and pay for college and everything. And I was like, I actually hate working for other people and I want to do it myself. So we just fired it up and have gone from there.
Oh my gosh. So where did you even get this pack of Chevron when you were in your college dorm room?
I think it was like Lemon Tree Wholesale. And it was one of those that, they're just a distributor. I wish I would have known, I was spending way too much wholesale for several years. But yeah, just whatever popped up first in Google.
You got it. You started to build. So when you started to build, and I've got to set the stage, you're going on 10 years right now. And that is so cool because you've had so much change in 10 years. You started to build. Where did it go from there? Social media, was still pretty new at the time. It was really new at the time. Tell me about that evolution early on.
Yeah, so I don't think we even got the ability to go live until we were probably like 3 or 4 years in. So like social media really was so new. Instagram, I had a personal Instagram for about a year at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started on Instagram. During those first few years, I got married, had my first baby, and I actually had decided to like close Lettie, and it was Lindsay's Secret Closet at the time. And the worst name.
It sounds a little scandalous.
It does. My 18-year-old self didn't hear kind of the scandal in the name. Anyways, so I kind of decided I had built another business with my parents at that point, and I was like, okay, I think Lettie's like run its course. I think we're going to shut it down. And so I started a Facebook group, which I thought I was being very original. I didn't know anybody else that had done this at this point. And I was like, I'm just going to add some of my best customers, some family, friends, neighbors, and like clear out the rest of my inventory.
Yeah.
And then they started adding friends and adding friends and adding friends. And suddenly our group had like 5,000 people in it, truly within like a month. And when are you getting new arrivals? When is something new coming? Do you have any of this? Like, I want to see more. And I was like, okay, like apparently we've got something happening here. Maybe I need to put a little more stock into this. And so I remember I was graduating from college on a Saturday. On Friday around noon, I was like, we're going to do this. So I got on Shopify, built myself a new website, did a photo shoot on Monday, and we launched Lettie Boutique on Tuesday.
Oh my God.
Well, over my college graduation weekend. So
I love that. And the rest is history. Here we go, right?
yeah.
Oh man.
We're nothing if not a crazy ride.
It's been a crazy ride. So you built it, right, for a period of time, but then talk to me about moving. Because I feel like this is a question I see a lot. This is something you've lived. You built this online store, but then you had to move across the country. And that is really overwhelming for a lot of people. How did you handle that?
Yes. Let's set the stage. I did not handle this well. It turned out really well, but I don't want to give anybody the appearance of me ever that it's like, oh, she just like floated through it and it was so easy and whatever. So I started this in Utah at Utah State. I moved back to my hometown of Pocatello with my husband for him to do undergrad. And then we knew that he was going to PT school. And there is a program here in Pocatello, but very competitive. And we were like, realistically, we don't want to go into the mindset of we're staying in Pocatello. And so yeah, we started building this business and he ended up getting accepted to a school in Austin, Texas. And I was like, that's a long ways away from our family and from our business. And I was so grateful. I was having a conversation with one of my best friends who is also our photographer. And I was like, I just don't know how I'm going to move the business. This makes me emotional, like remembering how hard this was for me. But she was like, Lindsay, leave it here. We can handle it. I will help you. We can do this. And I had 2 other employees at the time and then our photographer and model team. And so we went out to dinner and I sat him down and I was like, what do you guys think about this? Can you help me do this? And all of them were like, absolutely, yes. Like it makes no sense for you to take it with you to find new warehouse models, employees, like all of these things. Just our plan was to always come back home to Pocatello. This is where all of our family is. And they were like, it doesn't make sense to move it for 3 years. We've got it. Like, you can trust us. And that was the biggest blessing of my life. And I don't know if I've ever felt so loved. And they did an amazing job. I would fly home. We had a townhouse here that we kept and just Airbnb'd while we were gone. And so I would fly back and forth every other month or so, check in, come do, lives with our customers and do team meetings and everything. But we stayed in really close contact. They did an incredible job. And I am forever grateful for those girls that made that time so much easier for me.
Yeah, man. It says a lot about a couple things you did, right? It says a lot about the foundation you built with your team culture and the people you hired. Like you got that right. But it also tells me you had to get the systems and processes right in order to make that work too. So break down both of those things for me. First, how'd you find these awesome human beings that are in your life? How did you build that culture that made them so trustworthy to take this on for you?
So this is something I say cautiously. But I knew these people beforehand. One of them is a friend from high school, and then one of them was my older sister. And so there was already a level of trust, and that I realized that hiring friends and family does not work for everybody. But it really worked for me. And the other thing is I try really hard to not micromanage my team. I give them their jobs, they know their responsibilities, and they get it done. Now we are online only, so obviously that's a little bit different with like scheduling and stuff, but I'm like, you know your job. I'm not going to set hours for you. You know your job, you know what needs to be done, you know your deadline. I trust you to make that happen. And so we all have kids, and I'm like, if you need to bring your kids to the warehouse with you, that's okay. If you need to come in at midnight after you've put your kids to bed and you've had time with your husband, that's okay. You know your job. I trust you to get it done. And obviously that takes a very specific person to give them that much leeway. But I think giving them that much space and freedom and trust gave them the confidence and ability that I'm like, I can step out of this. I can be in Texas, and I know that you can do this, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how that blessing came to me that they are that amazing. But I'm so grateful they both still work for me. And
yeah, it's very empowering. Very
Yes.
empowering. So you went to Texas, they take over managing the day-to-day, right? And you're still leading the ship and building your community and all the things we'll talk about next. But tell me about the second half of how that worked, systems and processes. Talk to me about maybe like 3 or 4 of the most important processes that you guys have implemented that have allowed this ship to sail smoothly.
So I think they were primarily taking care of like our shipping, intake, customer service. They would do pop-up shops and like open warehouse while I was gone. They would do all of these things. And so I think that one, having a really firm system and placement of what does our shipping day look like? How does that run smoothly? What is even to how do our packages get from us to the post office? How do, just what does the order look like? How do we make sure that things are accurate? And we've changed those systems over time, and they changed several times even while I was in Texas. But really having like a firm chain of command in that kind of, and it's like, okay, this is primarily your responsibility. If you need extra help, you ask this person. If you need extra help, ask this person. And just having a really firm, we go in and we check for local pickups first, and like having a very clear, detailed step-by-step, what are we doing? And the other thing that we did was create a Google Doc for like our team communication, so that no matter where anybody was, we could create our communication there. And we used Asana as well, and created training videos. So if anybody had a question, if we had somebody new joining us, if we had somebody covering for us, whatever it was, there was always kind of a fail safe. And of course they could always come to me, but creating again another level of that kind of that trust. You know your job, you know how to do this, and I trust you to do it. And then I also think, of course, mistakes happened, and of course there was adjustment periods when I step out that much. But creating a culture and systems for if something happens, let's talk about it. We're not going to do shame. We're not going to do guilt. We're going to be like, hey, this is what happened. Let's talk about, these are my ideas, but you're the one that's doing this day to day. So what are your ideas also of how we can fix this and make sure that it runs smoothly in the future and we can mitigate some of these issues?
Yeah, it's still a really empowering process. I love that you said no shame, no guilt, because it's really easy to place blame, especially when you're upset when something goes wrong, rather than focus on, okay, let's fix it for next time. What do we need to do?
Yeah. And I think it's so easy when you're in your business day to day, just like, oh, we'll just do it really quick. Like, we'll just I'll just do it. And I'm trying to get back in the mindset. Through the pandemic, it was so hard because it was a lot, just me and my husband there for a minute. And but I think being able to step out of it and be like, it's okay. I trust my team. We've got our systems, and it's okay. Mistakes will be made, and we can build stronger from that. And your team will never learn. And, you'll build a really disempowered team, I think, if you're always just like, oh, I'll just do it really quick. I'll fix it.
Yeah.
I think we have to give some of that power back to our teams. And, again, no shame, no guilt. We don't do that around here. This is what happened. Let's work together to fix it. Thank you so much for having that conversation with me. We're moving on.
If I could take you guys on a behind the scenes of what it takes to build a wholesale platform, I would totally do that. I think it needs to be an entire solo episode. What do you think? You guys, I have loved your feedback on building and shopping and optimizing hubventory.com, our very own wholesale platform built by the industry for the industry, with all of the curated and vetted brands that boutique owners know, love, and trust. You guys, as we have grown Hubventory over the last 6 months together with you, we have loved building the features that you're looking for. So if you haven't yet shopped on hubventory.com, now's your invitation to shop curated brands by following the brand, saving the products, just like Pinterest, saving products to boards so you can plan out your collections and maximize the investment that you're going to put into your inventory, using our ROI calculators on projects, or even building in budgets, which is now available on Hubventory. I encourage you to jump on the platform, take a tour, follow some brands, build a few boards, and start to shop today. This is just the beginning. Keep the feedback coming, keep the input coming, and keep telling your friends all about shopping wholesale on hubventory.com. Yeah. I want to dig a little deeper on that because I feel like that's probably one of the biggest struggles I see with really boutiques of all sizes. Whether you're brand new, you're solopreneur, you don't want to hire your first employee because you feel like I'll just DIY it. I don't trust anybody, right? I always hear that comment. Or it's just faster if I do it myself. I always hear that comment. Or I just don't want to give up control. Like you kind of got thrown into the fire. Like you had to give up control with this move. You had to. So now in hindsight, if you could give advice to anybody who's listening that is like holding on to the reins so tightly, they don't want to empower their team because they're scared something might go wrong. Is there any other advice you would give to someone listening with that mindset right now?
I was very much the same way for a long time. I told my husband, I was like, I just want it to be this fun little thing that I can do. I don't want to have to deal with a team. I don't want to have employees. I don't want to worry about like payroll taxes, like all of these things. But the truth is, you said, well, I can do it faster. How long can you actually do it faster for?
Yes.
How far can you really grow your business that you can actually do it faster? And I think it also takes a level of humility. For me, I am not a well-organized person. I'm working on it. I'm really trying to be.
I'm surprised by that. I'm surprised to hear you say
really?
That. Ooh. Yes. I look at you and I'm like, she's got it together. Like you look like the Pinterest mom who's got it like planned out.
Oh, Ashley, we should hang out a little bit more. No, it's something that I'm working on, but it's not like my brain dominance is very visionary. And so something that I look for is, you always say, do what you do best and hire the rest.
Yeah.
So I hire people that are very organized. My team is very organized. They have great organizational skills, even to the point of like, hey, our warehouse would actually be more functional if we switch these things around and organized it this way. And I'm like, would never have thought of that. We also have somebody on our team that is like, if her mind fascinates me, she can figure anything out. And so I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out like this display, or hey, I need to figure out how to add a dressing room in this warehouse. And she's like, no worries, I got it. I'll do it. And so I think playing to some of those strengths, realizing where I'm falling short and letting somebody else take that off of your plate.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes there's kind of a belief, especially right now, that like, employees are so much to manage. Like they're so hard. And you know, but if you can find the right people,
yeah,
they can make your life so much better. They can make your life so much easier. They can grow your business. They can really catapult you into the next level, and you can't get there by yourself. You can only do it by yourself for so long.
So good. I completely agree with all of this. And I love like the real truth and positive perspective of how great employees can be rather than always ragging on, how terrible they are, because it doesn't have to be that way. And I've had the
Yeah.
same experience at the boutique hub. Like there's no way any of this would be possible if it weren't for the amazing people on our team. So I love that you shared that perspective. The other thing that I feel like just hearing your story and knowing you were able to move across the country and move back, I feel like the real underlying root for you is also not just what you did with your team, but it's really what you built with your community and your brand. Like you just have this amazing, like one of the most close-knit communities for a boutique that I've ever seen. And that's probably why you've been in business for 10 years, right? Because you've worked so hard on cultivating that. So I would love for you to share. Tell me about your community. Tell me how you really made it so close-knit and not just about buying products from your boutique, but being more than that.
Thank you. Our community is the most special thing to me ever. I think, especially through like pandemic and the years following, I think every business owner has been like, I think I'm just going to shut it down. Like, I think we're going to call it good, for at least a minute. But every time I had that thought, I was like, I can't let go of these beautiful women. Like, there's just no way. I think that our first community building was we started a Facebook group, which, as we were chatting before the podcast, I started that Facebook group way before groups were really a thing. I didn't know anybody else that had a group. And I think really just showing up authentically and, cautiously, but sharing my family and my kids and what we are doing. And, my my community has seen me with makeup, dressed to the nines for a photo shoot. And they've also seen me like with a face mask on, hair up, and like eating Doritos on my couch. And I think just not being afraid to let people see you allows people to more fully see themselves and feel seen. Honestly, I think that that's what we all are really wanting, is to feel seen and known. And just some of the things that we've done in our group and just created community, not only so that they feel connected to me, so that the women in our community feel connected to each other across the country.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the powerful part about groups. And I know you created your group even like way back when. So I just want to make sure if someone's listening and they're like, I don't have a group yet, or my group is brand new, oh, Lindsay, this isn't possible for me. You've had this for so long. I still think groups are just as powerful today as they are back then. Would you agree?
100%. And I've actually seen that Instagram is starting to test drive a group feature of some sort. We don't have it yet, so I can't speak to that, but I'm so excited to start creating a little bit more of a group on Instagram as well.
Yeah. I think to your point, and I've noticed this even, it's true with the hub as well. It's really the multi-directional conversations that are possible in groups that just aren't possible anywhere else. Like on Facebook and on Instagram, on your page and profile, you can speak to your customer and they can speak back to you, but they don't really speak to one another.
Right.
And that's like, you have to, I think, in order to really build a sustainable community, you have to have that multi-directional conversation. So tell me more about how you fostered that. You've really gone beyond just sharing products, but you've had meetups, and I know like Lettie Live. Tell me about some of those things that you're continuing to do to build that multi-directional conversation.
Yeah. So first, I just want to point out something that we've tried to do on Instagram, because I've had that dichotomy for so many years of like, I feel like we're so close on Facebook, and then Instagram is like, it's the Lindsay show, So one thing that we have done that I feel like isn't quite the same but helpful is like ask questions to the community, let people respond, and then share the responses. So even like around Christmas time, I don't know what it was, but like everybody I knew was sick, everyone. And so I like threw up a poll and I was like, are your kids sick right now? And it was like 87% or something was like, yes, my kids are sick. And I was like, okay. So I put up a question box and I was like, tell me your laughs so you don't cry today with, you're sick, your kids are sick. And people are a lot of like feces and vomit stories. But like as a mom, like that's just what it is sometimes,
Yes,
and so I remember one girl was like, I just wish I would stop putting my hands out when my kid starts to puke. And so I like reshared it and I was like, who's done it? And it's like every mom has been like, oh my gosh, like, we've all done it. And just things like that. So even I think it is still possible on Instagram. It's a little bit different, but putting that community aspect in there is still possible. But I'm so excited about the upcoming group feature. But yes, as far as like our Facebook, and of course we put these things out on Instagram as well, but we've done, so something that we call Lettie Live. We take a Saturday. We actually haven't done this in a couple of years and we need to get back to it. But Lettie Live is, I would teach a class and then I asked for volunteers from our community. So we would take a Saturday, put out a schedule. We would have like 6 to 8 classes throughout the day. Classes like dressing your body type, how to travel for cheap or free on credit card points. I did like a freezer meal class once. We did a quick and easy hairstyles class. We did, I don't know. There have been a ton of them. And I think that fosters a lot of community because then it's not just me doing classes. It's also, look at all of these beautiful, amazing, talented people in our community that are willing to share so freely with each other. We've also done meetups. We'll do in the summer. Our small town got a splash pad finally like 2 years ago. And so I've been like, okay, we're, just put it out on our social media and we have a local girls group WhatsApp. So I'll put it out on there and be like, hey, we're meeting up at the splash pad at 10 a.m. Bring your kids. I'll bring the popsicles. Let's go have a good time. We've done meet up at the movie theaters and go to a movie for girls night. And most recently we took a Disneyland trip together.
You've got to talk more about that because I think so many people are like, what? Did she just say Disney? Tell me about planning that and how you set it up. I want the details. That's awesome.
Okay, I am a Disney girl. Like I always have been, but actually coming to the LA experience in, when was the first one? Like 2018 probably?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're taking me back. Probably 2018, 2017.
I think it was October
there.
2018. So while my husband was in school and in Texas, I have my 3-year-old with me and I was like, well, you work for Lettie now, sis. Like she would always come to market with me. She would come everywhere with me. Just because PT school was extremely demanding and my husband, I am forever grateful for how much intention he put into spending time with our family, but it was rough. And so I remember like in that group putting out like, can I bring my 3-year-old? And so I brought her with me and I was like, okay, mommy's going to have meetings for 2 days. If you can come with me and be really good for mama, I'll take you to Disneyland. And that became like our agreement. So every time we go to LA, my kids come to work with me and then we go to Disneyland. And my customers have seen that and they've like always been like, hey, I'm going to Disneyland with my kids. Like, what are your best tips? And, I've kind of become the go-to Disney person, I guess. And so for years, I've wanted to do like a meetup in Disneyland. I've always thought it would be so fun, but I was like, oh my gosh, would anybody actually come? Like, there's so many logistics behind that. Like, I don't know, like that seems so intimidating.
Yeah.
But I think it was just me getting in my own way. And this last year, I've been doing a lot of inner child work. And I finally was like, okay, this is actually me being afraid that everybody actually hates me and nobody's going to show up. And we're done with that thought. And so we're just going to go for it. And so we just set up a Google Doc for registration and, called some hotels around Disneyland, asked about getting a room block, and yeah, we set it up and we had almost 30 women come and go to Disneyland together. And it was, I'm such a crier. I will cry about it given the opportunity, but it was amazing. It was the best day. There were so many beautiful moments of that trip.
That is amazing. And I can't imagine, I mean, number one, like that's a bond that you've built with your community that nothing can change.
Yeah,
So that's for sure lesson number one. But lesson number two is that had to be dynamite for social media and for marketing as well.
it was so fun. We had our photographer come and she does videography as well. Excuse me. And so, yeah, she came and got pictures and documented the whole thing, did a highlight video, um, which we need to tweak a little bit for next time. I feel like there are some things that I want to tweak for next time to make sure we get more group time. One thing that like thrilled me, but I didn't totally anticipate was we had a lot of girls actually come solo. They were like, I'm not bringing anybody with me. I'm just coming with the Lettie community and going to have a great day, which made me so happy that they felt safe and confident enough to do that with Lettie, you know. Um, but they all found their little group and
Yeah.
just it was amazing. Like some of these girls are like, oh yeah, like we've already met up for lunch since the trip, and some of them have already planned like another trip. Like they really created some fun friendships while we were there. And but yeah, next time we got to figure out how to document each group a little bit better, because it kind of turned into documenting like whoever was with us at that time, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one thing I need to rework a little bit for next time. But yeah, it was so fun, and yeah, everyone sharing and posting and tagging us, and
Yeah.
it was just so fun.
I love that. There's so many lessons already. I could have a page of notes of all the things that we've shared already today. But man, that bond of community, I just hope everyone listening today really understands the importance of that. And I get the impression, Lindsay, like you don't have to be a large store in order to do something like that. Like start wherever you
Mhm.
are, and you can absolutely
Absolutely.
build that same level of community.
I agree. I think that we get so in our heads about how big we are, how many followers we have. Would anybody actually do this with me? You know, we can get so in our head about these things, but the truth is everyone wants a friend. Everyone wants to feel loved. Everybody wants to feel seen. And that's what I really wanted for this trip. We've done like content trips and photo trips and stuff before, and I always get the response, I wish I had friends that I could do something like that with. I wish I could go on a girls trip like that. And there were so many years that I felt the same way, that I was like, I don't feel like I have any friends. I have my sisters and I have my husband and my mom, and that's awesome. But just really feeling like I wish I had somebody that close, you know? And so I was like, well, I'm going to make it then. If I can't find it, I'm going to make it. And I just, it was just the most amazing thing to see all of these women, for one, say yes to themselves. So many of them were young mothers that left little kids home, you know, and it would be so easy to say, well, I should wait and like I should take my kids, or, you know, that's just a lot of money to spend on a trip for just me or whatever. But
Yeah.
I was just so grateful for all these women that said yes to themselves, yes to coming and making new friends, yes to their worth, really.
Yeah. And really that speaks to your why in business, right? Like
Absolutely.
it's the truth for all of us. We aren't here to sell products. We aren't here to sell widgets or whatever. It's exactly what you're building, and it's the worth in other people. So that brings me to my last question, and it's definitely on that topic. So 20 years from now, you're sitting on the front porch with your kids and grandkids, and you're talking about these awesome Disney trips that they remember and the community you built at Lettie and the life that you lived. What's the thing that you want them to know the most about your journey and remember about the person that you were?
Oh gosh. I think that I just want them to see how hard I tried to build something that they would be proud of. That I really want to show, I have 2 girls, and so I really want to show my girls that you can be a mom, a very hands-on, intentional mom, and build a really great business as well, that you can chase both dreams. And I just hope that all of these Lettie girls in 20 years would say she really put her heart into that. And I just hope people feel love. And she loved me so much that it helped me to love myself a little bit more. I think that's what I really want.
Well said. Lindsay, you're such a gem. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Thank you for sharing your story. I'll have all of your contact info and links so everyone can see what it means to be a Lettie girl in the show notes. But keep shining your light. It is such a blessing to be in your space. Thanks for this today.
You're the best. Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Hey, thanks for listening to our 10-year anniversary series here on the Boutique Chat podcast. Not only is it our 10th anniversary here at the Boutique Hub, but several stores in our industry. So each week on the podcast, we are hosting a series for our 10-year anniversary special. You're going to listen to lots of great stores just like this one who are sharing their lessons learned in 10 years. You guys, to help celebrate, we have a massive, biggest we've ever done giveaway happening on Facebook and Instagram at the Boutique Hub to help celebrate 10 years in business. We're giving away prizes like a $1,000 shopping spree on Hubventory, $100 credits across 10 different brands on Hubventory, a lifetime membership to the Boutique Hub, a VIP package to the Boutique Summit, a VIP planner package, an opportunity to get into Boutique Hub Black, and so much more. So check out the giveaway details on our Facebook and Instagram. And thank you for helping us celebrate 10 years in business. We couldn't do it without you guys. We appreciate your trust, your loyalty, and your community so much.